Hello and welcome back to my channel, to a series of videos introducing Spag. Spag is a Google Sheets add-on that generates various components of a fully functional database application. The application can be a CRM or other modules of an ERP system. All of these components are derived from data and metadata you provide codelessly. This video demonstrates 3 features of Spag, enabling different ways to create automatically calculated columns. For that, we are going to use table dietary restrictions, which holds one record for each combination of dietary restrictions we have. Of course, there are more preferences and restrictions of diet, but for this demonstration, let's settle with these 5. Let's say our user is preparing a summarized list that shows how many meals of each data restriction combination are needed. And also, let's say that a textual representation is needed. We can add a column to this table and use Spag ability to manage formula calculated columns. Spag will then use the formula for any new table record and can apply a multi-cell formula results, even to columns that are not sequential. Let's type in a formula for that. We use trim to make sure we get the checkbox value right. We can test the formula as we would normally do on any row. When we are satisfied, we copy it to the first data row. Then we tell Spag to process the formula by selecting Formula at first row and compiling. Spag is presetting itself to use the formula in its unified way of fetching external data to our table. For the next type of a calculated column, let's define a way for the user to assign a dietary restriction combination to a customer. Let's add 2 columns to table customers: dietary code and dietary description. These columns are going to be related, so when the user types in a dietary code, the corresponding dietary description will show also. For this to happen, we define a column dietary code in the foreign column metadata, and we tell Spag that it should look for a record or records in dietary restrictions, whose internal ID matches the user input here on dietary code. Now we collect more information from these foreign records as we need the description. Each foreign column definition can have many foreign decode definitions. Finally, we tell Spag to calculate the minimum value found, because in other scenarios, the typed value may not represent a unique record. Spag can also restrict that by warning if we define a relation as unique and more than one record is found. We compile. Now the user can assign a dietary code to a customer. The description is brought to column dietary description. Next, we want to improve the user interface so it is not needed to look for the code. Instead, we want the user to use checkboxes to input the dietary restrictions, if any, to each customer. We add 5 columns here. We type in the titles and compile. Let's freeze column A to see which is the field type line. We choose checkbox. And we compile. Now the input method here is checkboxes. It still doesn't affect dietary code or the dietary description here. We want to tell Spag not to filter the records of dietary restrictions by the value of dietary code, which will become a calculated column now. Instead, it should filter those records by the checked or unchecked values here. This is done by using foreign match metadata definition. This tells Spag to find records in dietary restrictions which match the user inputs. For this column, we want a record to match the user input here, and the record should match it on this column. And here it should match the record by this column, and here. Before we compile, we'll see another feature that makes it easier to read this area of metadata when many tables are referenced. We can distinguish between different table names by setting a different format to each one. Let's take world cities. We do that by resetting the format. Choose a color and use this menu option. And for dietary restrictions, let's choose a different format. And now it is easier to understand what we see in the metadata area. This menu option also automatically compiled all the metadata changes, and we can see that dietary code column is no longer a free input for the user. Instead, it is a calculated column. Now Spag finds the record in dietary restrictions by matching these 5 checkboxes. Let's view it like our users are going to. And here we have the functionality we wanted. To learn more about Spag, please visit gazebotech.com. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.